Hey guys, this is Jekar with another battle report here. Got my sound issues fixed, hopefully once and for all, so that's going to be good. We got a series, this is the first in a series of 3 videos of my Orcs and Goblins versus an Ogre army. We're using almost identical lists both times that or all 3 times that we play. I make a couple tweaks. I think in the 3rd game he makes a pretty decent size tweak. We're just getting ready for a little small tournament among family and friends. So with that, this is 2,500 points at battle line. And without further ado, we'll go ahead and get on in. These pictures of deployment are taken during my opponent's first turn. On the far left, you can see he has 6 or 7 scouting man-eaters. They have a standard. Turns out to be the standard of discipline. Got a saber tusk in the back. Stonehorn. There's a fire belly with 3 lead belchers in that building in the back. 3 Mournfang with a standard and gleaming pennant. Behind them is his bruiser general hanging out. 3 units of 10 Noblars with, I think they have champions in this game deployed up on the line. You can see the one on the far right has already moved forward. In the back, behind the middle unit of Noblars is not a giant, it is a unit of Iron Guts. He uses the giant as unit filler. So for my deployment from left to right, we have a Rocklopper in the back, 25 squigs with 10 handlers. Next to that little river there is a wolf chariot. We've got a single troll, behind which is a unit of 45 night goblins, excuse me. Full command, spears, nets, 2 big bosses with great weapons. Behind that building that ended up sort of in the center is 38 Savage Orc Biggins with extra hand weapons, full command. I have a level 4 with the Shrunken Head and Fencer's Blades, and I also joined my Night Goblin level 2 to that unit as well, which was a terrible idea. Behind them is a unit of 25 Night Goblin Archers with my Night Goblin BSB that's naked and my Orc War Boss General, who has the Wizarding Hat and in this game had Lore Fire. And he had Burning Head, which is never going to do me any good, and Fireball. I think he rolled Burning Head and like Cascading Fire Cloak or something. Then there is another Troll off to the side there. And over here you can see I have a unit of 9 trolls, and then I have another wolf chariot and Madgit on Bouncer, who is a Night Goblin big boss on a great cave squig. He had the armor of destiny, I believe, and no, he had the enchanted shield and the talisman of preservation and a spear and light armor or something like that. Anyway, he's got 3-up armor, 4-up ward, and is just here to be crazy. You can see the last saber tusk that my opponent had. And so you've seen my opponent move over on the right hand side pretty much. Everything is kind of cautiously moving up. The cannon is turning to get some pot shots. The Mournfang are trying to move around the building. The Stonehorn stays suspiciously back, and he wanted to charge the man-eaters. I reminded him that he couldn't because they scouted, so they just moved up, and I believe they're 16 or 15 away from the squigs, so they're just kind of getting into a position where they can make a decent charge, decently long charge, but I have a long bomb, no hope chance there. In my turn 1, the squigs shuffle backwards, I believe. The savages fail their animosity and are too far away to make a charge anywhere, so they can't move. And not only can they not move, the shaman level 4 can't cast, the level 2 can't cast because he was in that unit, and my general doesn't feel like 6 dicing fireball at something, so he passes. About the only thing that happens is I get the chariot into this unit of Noblars here, and I'm thinking, yes, I'm going to overrun into the Noblars, explode them, hit the flank of that Iron Blaster. Everything is going to be looking good, and you can see what my opponent rolled for his break test. So things not looking so great for the Orcs and Goblins yet. Here's my opponent. He failed that charge on the squigs, and he's moving cautiously the Mournfang and the Stonehorn up. This is just something, I didn't get a picture of it. This is something I had, because I had no idea. He had the Noblars in front of the unit of Iron Guts, and he charged both of them. And I didn't even think about it when I pushed the trolls up, because he likes to put the Noblars in front of his units. So I like to push things up in front of the Noblars and kind of laugh at him as he can't complete with the stuff behind them. Just kind of block up the ogres and shoot with artillery. well, you can see that that bit me in the butt this time. My trolls were wide enough for everybody to get in, and so I'm just hoping that the trolls can do enough damage to the Gnoblars to to compensate for what they're going to take from the Iron Guts. You know, the Iron Guts are still hitting me on 4s, and I still have regen, so I'm hoping that I can hold that up just a little bit. And you can see his cannon is going to take some more pot shots. This is just a picture to show that his Saber Tusk is running after my Doom Diver, which is on this corner. I'm not sure that he has fought many things with compulsory movement, which is one of the reasons that we're doing this tournament prep. So I think that he may not know that I can spin and turn around and hit that Saber Tusk if I want to, which I don't, because you can see that up in the top left, there's actually some stuff worth fighting over there. So I'm going to go ahead and bring my Madgit on Bouncer around. So combat didn't go as well as I expected. You can see that he killed 2 trolls and did 2 wounds, so he did 7 wounds to me, which was kind of annoying. But what was really frustrating was I put probably 4 trolls on the Gnoblars and did 4 wounds. So I did either 3 or 4 full trolls on the Gnoblars, so that's between 9 and 12 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 2s, and I got 4 with the stomps accompanying, and I got 4 wounds, and I only lost that combat by 1 because of the musician. We tied otherwise, and so that was extra frustrating, because if I had just killed a single extra Gnoblar, I would have not had any issues. You can see my Wolf Chariot took care of the Gnoblars up top and has turned to get some charges on either that character there, or maybe the Gnoblars, or maybe the back of the Iron Guts or something. So in my turn, due to some poor positioning, the turn before, my general is out of range. It's on the wrong side of my bunker unit to give his leadership 9 to the trolls, so they fail to rally on their leadership of 4, and they keep running. And now I'm starting to get pissed off, because that's a lot of points that if I could have rallied it would have still been pretty formidable, and I've got to now block 2 units that otherwise are going to push it off the board with a charge. We got a blurry picture over here to show that I've pushed my squigs back a little bit. Moved my troll up to block the Mournfang, and moved my chariot back to avoid getting charged and overrun by the Stonehorn, because I think if the Stonehorn hits my Night Goblins, they can grind it out with the Great Weapon bosses, especially with the help of the chariot in the front or flank or whatever. So I'm just kind of hoping for that, and then I push the squigs back in and just to stall the man-eaters. This is another blurry picture. I'm not really sure what's going on with my picture taking skills. You can see that I moved my general around to give the leadership 9 should I still be on the board next turn to the trolls. I moved that troll up in he passed his own leadership 4 test to March, which was crucial, and I tried to put him in such a way that he would block the charge of the Iron Guts or the Gnoblars into my trolls, and I thought that I had, and there's a later picture where you'll see that I, in fact, how well I did or didn't, and that was kind of frustrating, just, trying to do that with a single model, and I'm really kind of missing my Wolf Riders and my Spider Riders, and you can see Madgit kind of making his way over here, gonna try and get either the Iron Guts or the General. So in my opponent's turn 3, this is that picture I was talking about. You can see that in fact I am not blocking the Gnoblars. I'm just too far right over, because they only have to wheel. I only have to make them wheel a tiny bit, and because of the distance to the trolls, they'll never hit them because they can only make that one wheel. And I just did not do it effectively enough. So of course that gives us the next picture. And in this picture you can see that they have charged, pushed the trolls off the board, and the Iron Guts have reformed to face Madgit and my chariot. And at this point I have to go ahead and apologize. I took some pretty crappy pictures after this point, because I just thought the game was going to be done pretty quickly from this point on, and so I have 2 or 3 pretty blurry pictures coming up, so I apologize in advance for that. The rest of the board here, you can see that I had put my savages into the building. The plan was to put them in the building and push them outside of the building to get past it, and then they failed that first animosity roll, and because they were already behind the building, I had to go ahead and do it. But they're kind of not helping at the moment, so that was a plan that didn't really work very well. I'm going to try and get a black orc in that unit, I think, to keep them from failing so hard. You can see that the Mournfang went for the only thing they could do, really, charge the troll, and the stone horn charged my night goblins, so hopefully we can grind that guy out. And over here the man-eaters went ahead and charged, and I'm actually feeling pretty good about this. They're not faster than my squigs. My squigs are I3. We both hit on 4s. He wounds me on 2s. I wound him on 3s. That whole unit is like 230 points though. So I'm thinking, well, if I can take care of the man-eaters or severely damage them to the point where the chariot can do some cleanup work, or something like that, that's not too terrible. So we'll see how that turns out. So Madgit over here has taken a wound. You can see the markers there from the lead belchers. Chris, my opponent, is getting very frustrated at how annoying it is to try and wound somebody with a 3-up 5 or 3-up 4-up save and toughness 4. And so he's turned to look at me, but he's not really going to be having a good time if I can get both of those models there into his general. And this is just ridiculous. On multiple levels, this is ridiculous. They came in and they just had so many attacks. They had additional hand weapons, and they just rocked me. They killed I think they killed 15 or 18 squigs by the time they were done. Of course, I get to attack simultaneously, but I killed 3 or 4 ogres maybe. The resulting explosion was the second ridiculous part for his units that were near. If you recall, there's a Stonehorn near me as well. I rolled for the Stonehorn and the Man-Eaters. I rolled a d6 plus 1 and got 6s. So they took 7 strength 5 hits, and I did 2 or 3 wounds to the Stonehorn, and I killed an ogre and some change off of the rest of the Man-Eaters. And for my Rock Lobber and my Night Goblins and my Chariot, I rolled 1 each. And I think I did 1 wound to the Chariot, and I did 1 wound to the Night Goblins, and nothing to the Rock Lobber. So that fight was just all sorts of crazy. I laughed a lot about it, I gotta admit. So this is in my turn 3, which is weird. I don't have any pictures beforehand, but what happened here is I charged both Madgit and the Chariot into his general. They just did all sorts of bad things to him. I think I actually killed him on the impact hits. We overran because I maximized. If I had been paying attention, I would have maximized so that they both hit the Iron Blaster, because I'm not sure the Chariot will take it out, even though my opponent was. And Madgit bounced on this way, looking to get another character, maybe get into the building and start eating some of the lead belchers in there or something. The Chariot slams into the side of the Iron Blaster. Again, not sure I'm going to win that combat, but it's one that I want. I want that thing to, die. Really, about the only thing I do in combat is, or before combat, I guess I should say, is I pull the savages out of the building and have them touching the building and hide my bunker unit behind them, because the Iron Guts have turned around to try and beat up my bunker and get all of my points that they don't already have. And so we go on to the combat picture, and you can see that the Mournfang, after 1 turn of failing, have managed to kill the troll this turn. And over here you can see that my Chariot did in fact manage to kill the Iron Blaster. I came in and did 2 wounds or something like that on the impact hits, and it did 1 wound to me on its attacks, and I think I did 1 wound with the Goblin. And the reason I wanted Madgit in is because I'm never sure that my opponent won't make break tests. He's really good at making 3s and 4s on his break tests, and I just did not want the Iron Blaster to stick around and have the Chariot try to beat it with strength 3. I didn't want to grind that out. I wanted the Chariot to be doing some other stuff. So I was very lucky that I did a couple wounds to him and had the flank and the charge and all that, and so he broke and I ran him down. So on his turn 4, you can see what I did with my savages. Um, they were actually touching the building. I think that the guy that was touching the building actually has been shot off, and that's what happened, because I really didn't just pull them out of the building and move them around willy-nilly, but you can see what I did trying to hide my bunker. You can see his iron guts move on up and try to... I don't know what he was doing with the Noblars there. I guess he just wanted me to take dangerous terrain tests first. I thought that he was actually going to try and get me to redirect, because I couldn't really have done anything else if he had put them at a weirder angle, you know, because I'm frenzied. I would have had to um, overrun, and he could have tried to do something crazy, like get me in the flank with his iron guts or something. And so I thought that, or open up that path to my bunker. So, but he didn't. They're not wheeled enough, and so I'm gonna hit them and just overrun on in after taking some dangerous terrain tests. And that's exactly what happens. This is my turn 4. So the turns are going pretty quick now. I charge on in to the Noblars. I take 3 or 4 casualties after my shrunken head from their dangerous terrain. Totally obliterate them. Go ahead, charge on in to the Iron Guts. Now, one thing I should mention is the Butcher's in this unit, and he has the spell that makes everybody stubborn, and he's cast it on him. So I'm going to have to kill them to the man to take advantage of that. You can see that my level 4 is out of combat, which is great. That's where I want him. The only way he's going to get in is if he happens to accept a challenge, which hopefully I'm not stupid enough to do. This side of the board, actually, I have failed to mention in a while. I guess I didn't. I guess I was pissed at it or something. I charged my chariot into the man-eaters when the squigs failed, and the chariot did like 1 impact or 2 impact hits and failed to wound either of them, so it just exploded and gave up points. And the man-eaters are eating the rock lava right now, so those man-eaters have made their points back. You can see my I am trying to grind the Stonehorn out, but it's doing a mighty fine job of beating the crap out of me. I don't think I have a picture. Oh, it looks like I do have a picture. This is Madgit. He managed to hit the Firebelly, who came out to Hellheart me in the last turn. Madgit, I guess it was 2 turns ago, he abandoned the building, and then this turn he moved up and Hellhearted on my magic phase, so Madgit went ahead and got into combat with him. He used the Hellheart. It got all of my wizards, I believe, and they managed to just do some wounds to each other and blow some stuff up. But Madgit, with his 6 attacks, did all 4 wounds, which was very cool. And he bounced on over, and you can see him looking at the butt of the Mournfangs. Yeah, so this is what it looks like after combat. I've just annihilated them. That's not even pretty. Just a sad, sad sight. You can see that I declined a challenge and went to the back with my wizard just to save him. I could have accepted with the champion, but I decided not to, and then I shredded the unit. This is my opponent's turn 5. You can see that he has turned his Mournfang around to look at Madgit, which I'm not entirely sure why. But I also, in this phase, finally kill the Stonehorn, and you can see I've got 6 Night Goblins left and 2 big bosses, and that was just way bloodier than I thought it was going to be. So in Ogre turn 5, I challenge with my wizard, and he takes with his standard, his BSB, and he has 5 attacks, hitting on 5s, wounding on 4s, and I have a 5-up ward save, and he does both wounds that are left, which I worked out later is like a 1 in 80 chance, so I still feel pretty confident with that. But I was trying to, I guess, save points, which was very foolish because he was never going to get points from my unit anyway. I should have just went to the back again like a good shaman. That was just poor play on my part. But this time he is not stubborn, which is the only reason he stuck last time. His Butcher had cast Stubborn on the unit. So he wasn't stubborn, and I killed the Butcher and the last Iron Gut, and the combat res made the BSB run, and so he exploded as well. And that was the last picture that we have. So I'll go right into some thoughts that I have about the game. First things first, I should point out that I won by like 200 victory points, and it's all thanks to Madgit. And so he's like the best 134 points I think I've ever spent. He was ridiculously effective. I was very, very thrilled to have him killing characters. I mean, Chris fed me the Firebelly with him to Hellheart, which I'm not sure whether that was a good idea or not. It didn't kill any of my wizards. It did stuff a magic phase, but at that point I didn't need magic. I didn't need a magic phase to win against the Iron Guts. So he should have just put the guy back in the building and saved him. The Squigs versus the Maneaters, that went way differently than I thought, but that's what I'm doing, is trying to learn some matchups. Also, normally I used to run 30 Squigs, which would have given me a couple ranks to add some combat res and some steadfast, but I'm kind of paring that down a little bit. It seems like overkill a lot of times, or it doesn't hold up a whole lot better for the extra points, so I'm just going to cut it down. The Savages worked really well. I need a Black Orc in there, and I also need to not put my both mages in there. This game, though, if you didn't hear me talk about magic, it's because he totally shut me down with 2 level 1 wizards. I couldn't cast. I had the first phase where I had 2 wizards that couldn't cast and 1 wizard that didn't have anything to cast. The next phase, he shut me down. Or the next phase, I tried to cast 2 spells, and I failed both of them. The phase after that, he shut me down with the scroll, and then throwing all his dice at the second spell. And then the fourth phase was the Hellheart. So I had 8 levels of magic that never did anything. I think I cast 1 spell the entire game that went off, and it was like just a piddly fireball that did a couple points of damage to something like some man-eaters. But I don't really I like the wizard hat on the Lord when I get a good lore. Of course, you can't say that you're going to get that, and also it's too much magic. I ended up in the next game. You'll see I dropped the level 4 off of him for another troll. And so speaking of the trolls, I can't believe that the trolls lost. That I could only kill 4 Noblars with that many attacks, and then also that I couldn't use another troll to save them. That was just me being really, really frustrated and poor play on my part. But again, that's why I'm doing it. That's why we're getting ready for this, so I can rock some people later on. And finally, if you didn't hear me ever talk about the War Machines, it has to do with the fact that they never hit anything. They scattered off. The Doomdiver on the right actually exploded on the 3rd turn. The Rock Lobber, of course, got eaten by the Man-Eaters, but I consistently tried to put them on his General and his Butcher when they were out of units, and veered off or misfired, and they did nothing. I was 165 points, pretty much wasted. Anyway, that's game 1 of these tournament prep games. I hope that you guys have enjoyed them. If you have, please subscribe. If there's anything you need me to know, any tactics you want me to try, or any changes you want me to make, just let me know in the comment section. And I hope you guys have a great holiday season.